We must start with redefining the city, our city's goals. And I know this starts at the top, right? But you as a CIO or a decision maker or an influencer in your city are a stakeholder. You have a lot to provide and a lot to offer there. So the plans must include topics around innovation and projects to embrace automation and technology, bringing in the right partners and making the right decisions with the technology vendors that you use today. We also must redefine funding. We will not get there with the traditional funding models. We just won't, right? I think the one thing that we hear the most is, we will not be funding this with tax dollars. So then what do you do, right? So I really encourage you guys to give us your feedback around what's happening with you, with your own personal experiences. And when we sit through our use case breakouts, I really want to get some feedback around that as well. And some of our experts in the audience have hands-on experience with projects and how they funded them. So we want to learn more about that from you and share and exchange that information, because funding is a big, stopgap for a lot of things, right? And then the 3 Ps, the public-private partnerships. We have to embrace that. And I think that we're going to be diving more and more into that as we go throughout the 2.5 days here at IoT 6. And then lastly, evaluate the entire ecosystem. We can leverage with what can we leverage with our existing technology, right, that we have in place? What is going to stop us from scaling? What is going to stop us from implementing projects in our city? And what's going to stop us, right? And I think that one of the hard issues with cities is legacy infrastructure, old technology. We don't have the funds to really upgrade. We put off upgrades for the past 3 years. It's a lower priority. What do? All right, next, rethink. We have to throw out the legacy and antiquated thinking. We need to think very differently about cities. Smart cities is really more about solving problems, solving issues, helping your citizens, improving your constituents' experiences in your city, whether that's traffic, the digital services that you provide, getting from point A to point B, alleviating some of the issues that come in when we have a large event in the city. And I also want us to think above and beyond cities. This is not just a city discussion. This is rural communities, smaller townships, right? I often hear that when we dive into smart cities that it's all about what I call the NFL cities, and it's not. This is a discussion across size of city, across size. We have to think about new ways to perform old tasks, new ways to serve our citizens. And just like the Ubers of the world, and I hear that almost in every keynote or presentation, I think the big model is it's a new way of thinking, a new service that we might launch for our citizens and a new way of serving our citizens. We also must focus on health, sustainable practices, right? We do see funding coming in to make the city green. We do have goals for sustainability. We do know that that's coming from the top, right? There are clear mandates around that. There also are clear funding mechanisms around that. We might have to get creative to pull some of our projects that really focus more around sustainability, becoming green, reducing our carbon footprint. Next, reorganize. Cities are becoming software. They're application-centric, right? We are adopting software tools in the workplace for our citizens. We are new ways to payments that we're collecting payments on city services. It's all changing. The developer community is where it's at. Where do I personally learn a lot about what's coming through the pipeline, what's next, what's innovative, what's the next big automation that's happening? It's through our startup community. It's through our developers. These guys are so creative. They present new ideas to old problems. And I encourage you guys to embrace the developer community if you haven't already. Also, cross-collaboration. We know that when it comes to data sharing, right? This is my data in my department, my agency. I'm not sharing that with your department, your agency. We have to get outside of that. If we are going to leverage data the way data is supposed to be leveraged for smart city solutions, That means the most intelligent information that your agency and department is collecting must be shared. It must be open. We can't just be open to our citizens. Open government means more than that. It means open to our departments and agencies as well. The last thing is being relatable. We have to relate. Early wins must tie to the citizen and the community. There will be wins down the road that might be more personal, maybe more operational, back office, or something that's really specific to your own operations. But if we start with the citizen, if we start with the residents, if we start with the visitors to our city and our communities, that is where we're going to see early wins. You get community acceptance, you get community backing, that becomes drivers for possibly future tax dollars, which we hope that comes in. But the only way we're going to get there is if we really start with the citizens.